Welcome to the Mindset Mutiny podcast. I am your host, Mike Ivanov. Join me as we challenge the status quo, break free from self-imposed limits, and redefine what's possible. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm going to get right into it. So let me ask you something. Are you tired of spinning your wheels? Saying you'll change, but never actually doing it? Are you sick of making excuses? Like truly sick of it? Of hiding behind stories that you know deep down are just bullshit? Because today, we're done with all that. This is the moment, the one that actually matters. This is the point where you stop lying to yourself. This is where you stop clinging to the weak version of you and start facing the hard truth. The truth that these 5 things I'm about to break down aren't just holding you back, they're anchoring you in place. They're keeping you stuck, small and scared. And until you cut them loose, you'll never rise to where you're supposed to be. These aren't theories. I've lived them. They held me back for years. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They left me struggling, anxious, and depressed. But once I faced them, once I broke free, everything changed. And if you're willing to get honest with yourself, if you're ready to stop playing the victim and take ownership of your life, then I promise you, everything can change for you too. So buckle up, because we are not pulling punches today. This isn't about being nice. It's about being real. So let's dive in. Number 1, fear of failure. Fear of failure is one of the biggest lies you tell yourself. I don't know why failing isn't awesome in your mind. For me, I've made it that way in my head because when I'm failing, I know I'm pushing myself as hard as I can. When you fail, it means you're putting yourself out there, running through situations that are outside of your abilities, pushing past your limits. Isn't that the whole fucking point of growth? So, a few questions that come to mind for you is, what in the actual fuck are you afraid of? And I know the answers to these questions, just to give you a heads up before you try to fucking lie to me. So what in the actual fuck are you afraid of? You afraid that your ego can't handle it? You worry that somebody might laugh at you? That people might talk? That's exactly what you're afraid of. Just admit it. Move toward it. Stop giving it power over you. Let me tell you something. No one who's living a fulfilled life gives a shit about your failures. And those who do, they're sitting on the sidelines, too scared to even try it themselves. Those people that want to see you improve and grow, they want to hear about your failures and what you've learned from them. Failures create character. They create experience and opportunities to grow, opportunities to prove yourself right. So I got to ask you a hard question. What kind of example are you setting for your kids, your loved ones, your coworkers, or even the people watching you from afar when you quit? Or worse, when you don't even start? What kind of example is that? When you let fear win, you're teaching everyone around you that it's okay to let emotions dictate your life. And let's be clear on that. Fear is just an emotion. It's there to keep you safe. But guess what? We're not running for our lives in the forest from predators anymore. You're not in danger. You have nothing worthwhile to be scared of. So stop listening to that flight response your mind keeps throwing your way. It's outdated and it's holding you back. Now think about this. How the fuck are you going to feel at 65 years old when you're sitting on the porch, right? Staring at the life that you have settled for, realizing you let every single dream slip through your fingers because you were too much of a fucking wimp to chase them. That fear you feel now, multiply it by a lifetime of regret. That's what's waiting for you if you don't step up and act. So I'll ask you again. What are you really afraid of? Number 2, overthinking the process. Overthinking is the death of action. You sit there running through every possible scenario in your mind. What could go wrong? What could go right? How others might react. And you end up doing absolutely nothing. It's called analysis paralysis. And it's a real killer of change. You're so caught up in trying to make the perfect move that you never make any move at all. And let me tell you something. Perfection doesn't exist. People forget this simple truth. Action creates clarity, not overthinking. You can sit there with your notebook, your fucking spreadsheet, your bullet points, trying to map out every little detail. But until you take that first step, you'll never truly know what works and what doesn't. You can't think your way into success. You have to do your way into it. Overthinking is just fear in disguise. It's your brain's way of stalling because it's scared to fail. You tell yourself you're planning or being thorough, but really, you're procrastinating. You're putting off the discomfort of action by pretending that one more thinking is productive. But the truth is, nothing will ever be perfect. The timing won't be perfect. The plan won't be perfect. The weather won't be fucking perfect. And you sure as hell won't ever feel ready. So let me put it like this. How much time have you wasted thinking about the same thing over and over again? Think about it. I mean, we all do it. Months? Years? You think you're being careful, but you're not. You're just stuck. Every day you spend overthinking is a day you could have spent building momentum with those small steps, brick by brick, like we always talk about. Build that momentum. But when you're sitting there overthinking, none of that shit's happening. Here's what you need to do. Stop thinking and start doing. Take the smallest possible step. Screw perfection. Screw the overall planning. Let the process be messy. Learn as you go. Because the people who succeed, they are not the ones who waited until they had everything figured out. They're the ones who figured it out along the way. If you study any successful person, they will all tell you that. Every second you spend overthinking is a second you're not moving forward. And if you're not moving forward, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. Is that what you really want? So, quick little tip for you, something that works for me that I use quite often. So I'm at a place now where I can recognize the overthinking. Okay. So when I identify it, I instantly start repeating these words over and over again, out loud if I have to. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. I put these words on repeat over and over in my head. It overwhelms the overthinking. It forces you to action. These words have yet to fail me. These words get me to the gym. They get me into the hard conversations. They get me to push myself through things I don't want to do. They get me outside in a snowstorm to put in the fucking miles when nobody else is. So my message to you is don't think, Just do. Number 3, attachment to identity. 5 years ago, my identity looked nothing like it does today. Back then, I was stuck in a mindset of underachievement, fear, complacency, and victimhood. I clung to that identity because it felt familiar, even though it was holding me back. I know that every single day, you have the power to choose a new identity, an identity that aligns with the goals and mission you've set for yourself. It's all about alignment. I've used that word over and over. An identity that aligns with the goals and missions you've set for yourself. Your identity doesn't have to be one that keeps you small, scared, and stuck. It can be one of resilience, discipline, and ambition. But that choice has to be deliberate. You have to let go of those excuses, the fear, and the lies you've been telling yourself. Who you are today doesn't have to define who you'll be tomorrow. But we keep living that circle. Keep thinking that the person we are today, when we open our eyes tomorrow, that's who we have to be. It's not true. Every day's a new day. You can be somebody different, but you have to make those choices and be deliberate. So stop clinging to that identity that no longer serves you and start building one that matches the life you want to live. Attachment to your identity is one of the biggest anchors holding you back from change. People cling so tightly to who they think they are that they refuse to become who they could be. It's the ultimate excuse. I'm not that kind of person. You'll hear people say that. Or, that's just how I've always been. That one drives me fucking bananas. I mean, these are so self-limiting, putting yourself in a box, creating an identity that's not yours, allowing past experiences to dictate your future. These are the lies you tell yourself because you want to avoid the discomfort of transformation. Who you are right now, and this is the truth, who you are right now isn't enough to get you to where you want to go. The person you are today is a product of your past decisions, your past habits, and your past beliefs. If you want to grow, if you want to succeed, you have to become someone new. But that scares the fucking hell out of people. Why? Because stepping into the unknown means letting go of the comfort of familiarity. Even if your current identity is holding you back, it feels safe because it's what you know. Think about this. How often do you define yourself by what you've always done, even if it's not working? You'll say, I'm just not a morning person. Or, I've never been good with money. Or, I'm not a risk taker. Those labels are chains. And every time you say them, you reinforce the prison you've built around yourself. You're not bad with money. You've just made poor financial choices. You're not lazy. You've developed lazy habits. Your identity isn't fixed. It's the sum of the patterns you've practiced up until now. And guess what? Patterns can be broken. But breaking them means taking a hard look at yourself and asking questions. Who do I want to become? It means shedding the parts of your identity that no longer serve you. And yeah, that's uncomfortable. It feels like you're losing a part of yourself. But what you're really losing is the dead weight that's been dragging you down. You hear me talk about burying that mindset, or burying that guy that I used to be. I even say that I killed that guy. That's what I had to do to become something new. Because what I had been before wasn't enough to achieve where I was going or where I wanted to be. So here's the truth that no one wants to admit. If you're too scared to let go of the old version of yourself, you'll never get to meet the version of you that's capable of achieving everything you've dreamt about. I got to tell you, I hope you get to meet that person. I did. And the person I used to be would never have been able to build the guy that I am today if we didn't let go. So stop holding on to the idea of who you are right now. You're not that person anymore. You're whoever you choose to be next. The question becomes, are you willing to let go of the comfortable lie and take the leap into the unknown? Because on the other side of that leap is the person you were always meant to be. So something I want you to consider before we move on. Someone in my circle asked me this not too long ago. It was during a conversation about my aspirations and dreams. They asked me to sit down and really think on something. They asked me, who does Mike Ivanov need to become to achieve those dreams? I had to think about it for a long time. And then I had to write down who I needed to become to get to where I wanted to go. What skills did I need to achieve? What deficiencies did I have to address? What stories was I still telling myself about my situation that was holding me back from those dreams? The question was so impactful that I bring it up today because I think about it all the time. Who do I need to become to achieve X? I want you to consider the same thing. Who do you need to become to achieve those dreams you have for your life? Number 4, lack of accountability. Of course, one of my favorites. Accountability is your ticket to freedom. But right now, you're dealing with, I'd say, a lack thereof. Lack of accountability is the silent killer of change. Without it, change is just an option. Something you'll get around to when it feels convenient. And let's be honest, when has life ever been convenient? People fail to change because there's no one or nothing holding them to their commitments. You make promises to yourself, but when it gets hard, those promises quietly fade away. Why do they fade away? Because there's no consequence for breaking them. Accountability creates the structure you need when your willpower starts to crumble. It's the voice in your ear reminding you that quitting isn't an option. Whether it's a coach, a friend, a mentor, or even a self-imposed system of checks and balances, accountability makes your goals non-negotiable. Without it, it's too easy to let yourself off the hook. You justify it with excuses. I fucking hate these ones. The I'll start tomorrow. Ugh, fucking drives me crazy. Whenever I'm talking to somebody and we get to talking about some things that they could execute right now, it's always I'll start tomorrow. And I look at them, I say, well, it's fucking noontime. Why don't you start tonight? Why don't you start now? You know? When somebody's having like an unhealthy, shitty meal and there's healthier options right next to it. And, they're like, oh, I want to start eating healthy. Well, fucking do it right now. It's right there. Why start tomorrow? Or one that I really love is, I'm just too busy right now. That one fucking sends me into outer space. If it's important, you'll make time for it. The same person saying I'm just too busy right now is the same person going home to watch Netflix all night long, microwave their fucking dinner, stay up too late playing video games so that they aren't effective at their job the next day. That's the I'm just too busy right now person. They're all just fucking excuses. I just don't say them. The fact is that it's not important enough for that person. The person that I'm just too busy right now, change isn't important enough for them. I bet they'd be less busy if they focused on changing, because I bet some of their deficiencies is what's keeping them busy. But the truth is, tomorrow never comes, and too busy is code for not committed. Period. So let me put it this way. When you're accountable to someone else, you're no longer just disappointing yourself if you fail. You're letting someone else down. That sense of urgency, that external validation is often what pushes people through their weakest moments. Think about it. If you're working out with a partner, are you more likely to show up? Yes. If you have plans with other people, are you more likely to show up? Yes. Of course you are. Because you don't want to leave them hanging. You don't want to look like a fucking bum. You don't want to look like somebody that can't keep a commitment. Well, just remember, every excuse and everything, all that bullshit that you're telling yourself, you can't keep a commitment to yourself. That should be embarrassing. Accountability should force you to keep your word, even when you don't feel like it. Most people avoid that accountability because it makes their excuses impossible. If you're accountable to someone else, you can't hide. You can't fake it. Accountability shines a light on the areas where you're falling short, and that's uncomfortable. It's much easier to stay in the shadows, sit in the back of the room, avoid the hard conversations, and you know who I'm talking about. And worst of all, pretending that you're trying. It's much easier to do those things than to let someone see the truth of where you're slacking. So ask yourself, who's holding you accountable? Who's calling you out when you start to drift? If the answer is no one, you're giving yourself permission to fail. Accountability is the foundation of discipline. It turns your goals from someday into right now. Without it, you're just treading water, hoping for change, but never truly committing to it. Hope is not a fucking strategy, people. It never was, and it never will be. So stop running from accountability and start embracing it. Because the moment you make yourself accountable, change stops being an option and becomes a necessity. Number 5, comfort in misery. I'm going to give you a warning before I get any further into this. If you like being miserable, shut this shit off. Some of you are more comfortable being miserable than actually doing something about it. You sit there complaining about your life, talking about how unhappy you are, how unfair things are, but deep down, you don't really want to fix it. Why? Because misery, as awful as it sounds, is safe. It's predictable. You know it. You've lived with it for so long, it becomes your twisted little comfort zone. Change? That's the scary part. Change means stepping into the unknown, into something you can't fully control, and that terrifies you. Misery may suck, but at least you know how it works. You know the routine. You've mastered the art of wallowing. And it's easier to stay stuck than to face the discomfort of doing the work to pull yourself out. If you're one of those people, you got some fucking work to do. And let me tell you something. It's pathetic. Sitting there, wrapped in your self-pity, convincing yourself there's nothing you can do when in reality, you're just too scared or too lazy to try. You tell yourself stories. This is just the way things are. Or I've tried everything. When the truth is, you haven't even scratched the surface of what you're capable of. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you chose to be. You chose comfort over growth. You chose excuses over action. And here's the kicker. Your misery isn't just hurting you. It's poisoning everyone around you. Your negativity, your lack of effort, your unwillingness to change. It seeps into your relationships, your family, your job. Your kids see it. Your coworkers feel it. And the saddest part, you're teaching them it's okay to settle for a miserable life. But here's the deal. You don't have to stay in misery. You're not a fucking traffic cone. You can move. You can grow. You can fight back. The question is, are you willing to face the discomfort of change? Or are you going to keep clinging to your predictable little bubble of unhappiness? Because here's what no one tells you. Comfort in misery is a slow death. You're not living. You're not existing. So stop complaining. Stop making excuses. Stand up and take some fucking responsibility. And start climbing out of the hole you dug yourself into. Misery might feel safe for you right now, but it's fucking killing you. And it's time to wake the fuck up. Change doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't ask if it's convenient or if it's comfortable. Moves with or without your permission. You can either get on board and rise to meet it, or you can stay stuck, buried under your own excuses. But remember this, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. There's no standing still in life. So stop lying to yourself. Stop saying you'll change and then making excuses. Stop dreaming of a better life and start earning it. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hold your hand through the storm. This fight is yours and yours alone. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can start climbing out of that hole you're in. Look, I'm not here to coddle you. I'm not here to sugarcoat the truth. I'm here to call you out and challenge you to be better. Because I know what's on the other side of all this pain and fear. Growth, freedom, and the life you've been too scared to chase. But you won't get there by sitting around waiting for the stars to align. You get there by taking action now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. So here's my final challenge to you. And you better take this seriously. What are you going to do today to prove yourself that you're serious about change? What are you going to do today to prove to yourself that you're serious about change? What's it going to be? I'm not going to stop asking. It's something you should seriously figure out. Write it down. What's one excuse you're going to crush? One step you're going to take? Or one lie you're going to stop believing? What's one excuse you're going to crush? One step you're going to take? Or one lie you're going to stop believing? Those are two questions you got to answer. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for the right time. Just start. Because the longer you wait, the louder the voice of regret will be. And if you don't rise up, if you stay in the comfort of your excuses, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. So take the first step. Stop lying to yourself and start proving to the world and to yourself what you're truly capable of. Listen, if you're getting something out of this, even if it's just something small, please hit that follow button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. That's how we grow this together. And I want you to know I'm here for you. You can reach me anytime by email, mike@mindsetmutiny.com. If you're struggling with something, need help navigating challenges in your life, or have a specific topic you'd like me to cover, please let me know. Get out of your comfort zone and send me a message. I'd love to help.